What is up, YouTube? So I'm canceling the full self-driving subscription, and the main reasons are just that what I personally find valuable from full self-driving is not worth the price, which for me, with the normal Autopilot and for most users, is $199 a month plus tax. So it's about $217 per month, and I was trying it for a month because Tesla does let you commit to full self-driving without a contract. So you could actually subscribe, cancel, you'll get billed once, and then it won't renew on the next bill date. So the main items I was looking to test were Autopark, Summon, Navigate on Autopilot, were the main items that I was looking for, and then auto lane change, because that has been the biggest frustration with the included Autopilot is on a road trip, if you want to change lanes to either move faster or for any reason, you have to disengage Autopilot, change the lane, and then re-engage Autopilot. Navigate on Autopilot takes the auto steer and auto braking with Autopilot to the next level by kind of exiting, and potentially can merge and change lanes for you with no input whatsoever. And I ended up using that on a road trip and canceled it. I have a video on that. When I say cancel, I mean I stopped using it because the car would actually change lanes much too frequently. I noticed that when you change a lane, it's kind of an emotional decision. You're basically saying, this person in front of me is not going fast enough, or I need to exit. And you kind of decide differently every day, and depending on your emotional state, like if you're in a rush, depending on your mood. And I felt that when the car would decide to change the lane, wasn't when I would do it. And sometimes there are times when the car in front of you is going slower, where you're like, this is okay, it's not too slow, I will stay here. There's other times if you're in a hurry, you want to change lanes. And in general, I just felt that the value there wasn't so, where it was actually uncomfortable, that sometimes the car would change lanes back and forth, regardless if the setting was Mad Max, meaning it'll change the lanes as soon as the person in front of you is going slightly slower than you, versus the slowest setting, which will wait for significant slowness in front of you before it changes the lane. And that just, it wasn't helpful. I would rather disable auto lane change on Navigate on Autopilot and have a manual input. So you could hit the stalk and the car would change the lane for you, and then Autopilot would stay engaged. That was valuable. I wish I could actually pay for that alone and nothing else. And I would actually pay, I don't know, 25 bucks a month for that. But it's something I think should be included in Autopilot. There should be a way to change the lane without disengaging it, similar to other manufacturers, auto steer. You don't actually have to disable it to change the lanes. It allows you to do it. Summon is, I agree, Elon Musk tweeted about this. He said this is more like a party trick. It's like kind of useful in some situations, but later on it'll be really useful. I totally agree with that sentiment. It is a total showstopper. Like, everyone is watching. If you're in a parking lot and anyone sees that, they're just like, it's all eyes on it. It really is like a party trick. For usefulness, it takes too long to pull out the app, have the app connect to the car, and then summon the vehicle while you're kind of waiting. And the time it takes to do all this, you can likely just walk to the car and get inside. Now, there's a couple situations where, based on weather, where this can actually be useful, but it's so rare that that happens, where it's either too hot because your car's too far away, or maybe there's torrential downpour or other reasons that you may not want to walk to the vehicle. But it happens so rarely that having a $200 a month fee for that plus the other items just wasn't worth it. I found myself only using Summon to kind of show it off to friends and family because it was cool. And there is a setting that lets you actually have Summon similar to like Sentry mode, or kind of like standby mode on a TV, where it'll draw more power for the car to stay active, so that the connection from the phone to summon the vehicle is very fast, but then you end up draining the battery just on the off chance you might use the feature. So not quite there yet. I think in the future, if there's a way, if you're getting ready to leave a party or an event or wherever you are, you could be grocery shopping and you know you're going to be outside in about a minute or two or less, you can summon the car with one click and the car is just waiting for you outside ready to go without any input. That to me is it kind of makes sense. That way it's the most efficient way to potentially use the feature. Summon also lets you kind of pull the car out like a remote control on the app by pressing forward or back on the vehicle, and the car will kind of back out. Like, so if you in a tight parking space, maybe someone is difficult to get out, you could have the car kind of reverse and control it. But in general, just really wasn't frequently using summon. The one feature that was actually useful as well, that I'm surprised is part of the full self-driving subscription or full upgrade, is the green light chime. So what that means is when you're pulled up to a stop and you're basically the main car, there's no one in front of you, sometimes you're looking down or what have you, and then the light turns green, the car will chime telling you, hey, the light's green, because often sometimes you're at a long light, you're not always just staring at the stoplight waiting for it to change. You may be looking at your phone or your screen or having a conversation. That's actually quite useful. And I think even for safety and for traffic, that should be an included feature on all cars and not part of the full self-driving, since it's not really advertised. And then most people aren't probably going to pay for that as its own feature. It could just actually help with Teslas coming to lights and just making sure they leave on time and just helping you not get that honk behind you to say, hey, it's a green light. And then one of the last items as part of the full self-driving was the auto traffic light and stop sign awareness. So basically on Autopilot, if you were to drive on the main street and there's a traffic light coming up, it would just go right through it. You are fully responsible to stop the car and make that decision on if you want to keep Autopilot on or off. Generally, that's why most probably use Autopilot on the freeway, since you're not dealing with this. And it also will, on stop signs, it'll slow down for a stop sign and come to a complete halt, and then you can continue on. And it does that for every stop sign. For the traffic light, as of now, and I think part of this is to teach their machine learning model what, kind of like if for those of you who are Silicon Valley fans, hot dog or no hot dog, right? So right now, every time, I'll tell you what that means, is when there's a stoplight, it'll stop every time, even if it's green, and the car can recognize it's green. Is pretty accurate, like most of the time. When it's green or yellow or red, you'll see that on the visualization on the car, but it'll tell you we are going to stop for this, even if it's green, and you need to press the accelerator pedal to tell the car, like, don't stop for that. And part of that is it's a couple of things. The thing is, A, is reducing the liability on Tesla for either stopping or moving incorrectly if it got the traffic light wrong. So if it was actually red and the car thinks it's green, like, that's a risk where it shouldn't just drive through an intersection, and we need human input. The second part is the human input is validating the car's ability to understand traffic lights, so that by pressing on the accelerator pedal, it's validating every time, yep, that was a green, that was correct. And on Tesla's side, they can see, hey, we have 99% accuracy or 90% accuracy on traffic lights, but whatever that number is, it's just going to get better with inputs from drivers validating, yep, slow down, that's red, or that's green. And then more importantly, how does a car, which is another emotional decision, handle yellows, right? Some people will be like, boom, yellow, which we all know some traffic lights, yellow stays on for a long time. Sometimes it's shorter, depends on the speed limit and other factors, but you might blow through that yellow, or some people just completely brake when they see yellow. And so that's something that I think this data will also help with, is it's slowing down for the light, and sometimes you'll hit that yellow, and then it'll see what percentage of people and how they're handling it and using the visualization are blowing through that yellow, making it just fine, or potentially missing it, because Tesla will be able to see all that and any accidents that have happened and any other risks. So it's just learning and teaching. But in general, the big takeaway is I was hoping in this month, and based on Tesla and Elon Musk's commitment to the release of the full self-driving beta, meaning the tech stack or the technology behind the real full self-driving, which actually has not done a wide release beta, and you've seen a lot of people get early access to it, was supposed to hopefully come out in the month that I subscribed. It didn't. It's still delayed, but I will be looking forward to that in the future. I don't know that I would resubscribe when that happens, because there is value to it. There's a cool factor. There's that this is the future, and there's potentially, when it's not in beta anymore, real life scenarios for people who have either lost the ability to drive, or maybe you're in a state where you can't drive, where having the car drive you somewhere is really important. But until then, my real value from this experience was I got to try all the features, and I wish I could pay for some of them a la carte. And I think a lot of people would pay for that. As an example, Tesla already kind of values the non-full self-driving, like the full self-driving whenever that releases. It's valuing everything I mentioned here at $99 a month, because legacy, I don't know if legacy is the right word, but existing Tesla owners, there used to be an option to buy what they called enhanced autopilot, which is essentially every feature I described today besides the full self-driving, which is not really out yet. And so for those people that have already purchased that on a one-off fee, for them to then do the subscription for when the wide beta and the full self-driving finally comes out is only $99 a month plus tax for them. So that, because the full item is $199, tells me it's about $100 a month. They're valuing all these features, which if you start to slice that down and itemize it, you know, it's subjective on what auto lane change is doing, but that's more just, it's trying to solve for an inconvenience, which is I don't want to disable autopilot to change the lane. I don't care that the car is changing lanes for me. Like, that's fine, and actually it does a really good job. I just hate the idea of, and this is a very big first world problem of, it's just annoying why you got to disengage autopilot just to change the lane, then you have to re-engage it, and that's all I would pretty much pay for. And the green light chime is helpful, but is it really worth paying more for? Probably not. So I hope this is helpful. Those are the reasons why. The big takeaway, if you've made it this far, is it was cool. It's a great experiment to basically understand, is this valuable enough to keep? And my answer is no. Some of you may think it is actually valuable, and that's totally fine. I do wish Tesla would sell or include auto lane change in the normal autopilot, or make it a la carte, or have other options. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this and it was helpful for you. I will talk to you in the next video, which is going to be covering buying out my lease and how I'm going to attempt to do that. All right, talk to you later. Peace.